Reading about Dunkirk in this book here, the great battles of World War II, even though, you know, it's more of just a bunch of British guys standing on a beach than an actual battle.
And I was playing Call of Duty, which is the only way anyone in 7th grade learns about World War II. So, you know, we're about the same.
Yeah.
I think mine might be a little more worse. But we're not here to play video games or read books, because those are boring. We're here to talk about movies. That's nothing like playing video games or reading books.
No.
We're going to talk about Dunkirk, because we finally saw the movie.
Yep. So, I guess, for a brief overview, for those of you who don't know, Dunkirk was it's considered a battle, but I don't know. Like
from what I read online and stuff, I mean, it was a battle, but most of the battle took place on the air.
Yeah.
It was mostly an air battle.
I guess, like, it's an evacuation. Let's just consider
it was
that
an evacuation.
like a full-scale evacuation. The happened in 1940. I don't have an exact start date. May 10th. The Sitzkrieg Phony War.
Took place in May. Oh, that's weird. It looked like it took place in March.
Yeah.
In the movie, it looked like it was this was a Christopher Nolan movie, and if you don't know who Christopher Nolan is, you're dumb. And with that, the idea of this movie wasn't so much, I don't think, to tell a historical story, but more to capture the trauma and fear that the soldiers had who were waiting on that beach.
Yeah.
And he does a really good job of that, I think.
Yeah. It's like,
he did such a good job that he invited people that were actually there at Dunkirk to watch the movie. Because, you know, if they're going to make a movie about your life, they might as well make it about the worst day of your life, am I right? I don't know why anyone would go and watch that if you experienced it, but they did. And it turned out pretty good. I mean, for what it was meaning to accomplish, it was really well done.
yeah.
It was by far the loudest movie I've seen all summer.
Yeah.
It was. Here's the thing that is cool about this. This is the first Christopher Nolan movie that is a historical event. All the rest are like fiction stuff. This is the only one that's historical. And the other cool thing is that this was like the only really big blockbuster I think that came out this summer that is just Christopher Nolan making a movie that he wanted to make, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, all these other movies, all these superhero movies and stuff are all things that people really wanted to see, so the businesses are pushing them out, but no one was really asking for a Dunkirk movie, you know?
Yeah, I doubt anyone had even heard of it before then. I mean, I knew about it because I was insanely into World War II, like, before high school. Just, you know, it was one of those things.
It was a crazy time.
Yeah. Like,
so it's nice to see that there are still movies like that are being made, that Hollywood isn't totally dead. There's still a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
Kind of like a little bit of hope like the soldiers had waiting on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed the movie a lot. It's one of those movies, I mean, I kind of feel like this with all war movies. I'm not huge into war movies, but it feels like most war movies, like you want to watch them once, but you don't really want to watch it again. And when this movie comes out on DVD, do you think you would go and buy it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I might as well, but I probably wouldn't buy it like the week it was released, you know?
Yeah. It's like just, I don't know, putting it in perspective, at least from my side of things. I've seen a lot of war movies, a lot of Vietnam War movies. This is the most normal war movie I've seen in a long time. It's like, you know, Apocalypse Now, Full Metal Jacket, Platoon to a certain extent. They're a little on the, you know, weird side, and this is more of like an actual grounded story as opposed to, you know, trying to be overly, well, metaphorical, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, as zany as this movie was, there really isn't anything metaphorical in it. It's just saying, like, it almost felt like a horror movie at some points, you know?
Yeah.
Being trapped on a beach with all the bombing raids and stuff going by.
Mm-hmm.
And it educated me. I didn't know much about Dunkirk before. So, it was really cool.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen the movie yet, I would recommend it. Okay, so now we're in the spoilers section where we talk about more detailed stuff and stuff that we didn't like about the movie. And for the most part, there really isn't anything really wrong with this movie.
Yeah.
I think one thing that kind of upset me was the ending is how it has the one British naval captain, Lockhart from Harry Potter. He stays behind with the French, and I was like, oh, cool. I wonder whatever actually happened to that guy. So I got online to look up what happened to that character, and then I found out that he was made up. So I mean, what surprised me was that like none of the characters in this movie were real people in the war, except for maybe the guy on the boat and his kid.
I doubt that.
Yeah, I doubt it too. But those are the only ones I could think of that might be real, and that actually surprised me because it seems like most war movies tell like the story of these actual people, and these ones are just made up.
Yeah. I guess kind of going off the whole I'm staying behind to help the French thing. It's kind of funny. They completely threw the French under the bus. It's like, we evacuate like 300,000 British guys. Oh, we still got a bunch of French guys to get. It's like, yeah, pretty much the whole time is spent, like, all their efforts are in getting the British out. Like, the French are, not barely in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like they're kind of there waiting. They're trying to get on boats, but...
And from what I understood from what I was reading online was that the French were actually doing a lot of fighting, but on, like, the outskirts, they're ones kind of holding the British off because, I think Dunkirk is in France?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was their land that they were fighting for. And while the British were retreating back to England, the French weren't doing as much of that. They kind of stayed behind. And I think the English did send boats back afterwards to pick up the French. But a lot of the French, like, surrendered to the Germans. Because, technically at that point they were Germans, they didn't exactly go down as prisoners of war because, like, the week after this movie happened was when the Germans took over Paris and stuff. So that's an interesting little historical point.
Yeah. Then I guess other than that, the ending where the British pilot Farrier just kind of, he doesn't deploy his chute. He lets himself get captured. I found that kind of dumb.
It was a really pretty scene. Like, I loved it all, but the whole time I was like, okay, is he going to pull his parachute out now? Because I think in the movie he opens up the top, and then he's like, nah, and then he closes it.
Yeah, I think like the only thing, that was trying to like symbolize or something, because the other two guys, they go down.
Yeah.
Spoiler, but yeah, like the other two pilots go down.
I don't think any of them die though, do they?
I think the leader died because remember they saw his plane in the water. I don't know if they went back.
Well, I thought the leader was the guy with the funky hair who gets on the boat with all the other main characters.
No, that was the second guy.
That was the second guy?
The second guy to get shot down, yeah. So, like, I'm pretty sure the leader died, but, yeah.
No, I thought that his boat... Because doesn't he hit the water and then you see him wave and there's a boat coming to pick him up?
That was the second guy.
That was the second guy?
Yeah, because I think with the leader, like, the tail of the plane was out of the water. And they're like, oh, do you see a chute? It's like, no, mark your location.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that, yeah. The movie's kind of a buzz because so much happens.
Yeah, and it's all out of time, too. That might be a sort of negative thing.
Well, I think it explained it at the beginning, but I was just expecting, like, this was like the air, 0 hours, the mole, 142 hours. Like, for me, that stuff just kind of goes over my head. I'm like, oh, hours must be like a label of unit of distance in the military or something weird like that. I'm sorry, I'm not very military savvy. So I just kind of ignored that and then realized at the end, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense because a couple of days have gone by with the main guy on the beach and it's only like, like a 45-minute flight from England to there.
Yeah, but like, I guess with it being out of time like that, they repeat a lot of stuff, but then you always see it from the point of view where it, actually matters, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like he was saying, you see the one scene where the guy's like waving and the boat comes pick him up. You see it, from the, farrier's view when he's flying over, and then you see it from the pilot in the water's view.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, okay. So it's all coming together.
The other thing, this is kind of a small complaint, but I spent the weekend out at the Oshkosh Air Show, which is the biggest air show in the United States. And they had tons of World War II planes flying, and they were all a lot quieter than they were in the movie. And I guess that's not really a big problem because, I mean, that was done on purpose to add, like, tension and fright to the movie.
Yeah.
But what upset me was I heard all these people talking about, like, man, Dunkirk, they got the airplane sounds perfect. They actually recorded airplanes, and it's totally accurate. And it's not.
Yeah. I don't know. Like,
the sound effects are, but, like, the way that they're, like, on the beach and they can hear it coming, like, super loud from far away, that's not too accurate.
Yeah, because I know the Stuka dive bombers, I don't think those are the planes that they're used, but I know those had, like, whistles on them, so that when they were going into their dive bomb, it would make a loud noise, and, like, stuff like that, but, I don't know if it'd be that freaking loud.
Yeah, I mean, it almost sounded like they were, like, air sirens going off, but it was actually a plane, so...
Yeah, I think that was just Christopher Nolan being Christopher Nolan.
Oh, yeah, this whole movie is just, like, people rushing to get somewhere before something else happens.
And something happens and they rush.
And the whole time you're watching, you're like, okay, I wonder if they're going to make it or not. And, okay, here's an actual complaint. Like, I felt, like, zero attachment to any of the characters in this movie. Which also, I think, was, like, kind of on purpose, because there's, like, barely any talking in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, the whole movie, I was like, if this main character, like, if he gets shot in the face right now, like, I don't think I'll be, like, that sad. Which is terrible to say, but... Yeah, I didn't feel very much attachment to any of the characters. Like, when anybody died, I didn't really, like, get upset.
I mean, the only reason why I was upset about the end... I think, like, Farragher is the only one that I, like, some level of attachment, I guess.
Yeah.
He has the most dialogue out of the... Well, he has more dialogue than the main British soldier guy, Tommy.
Yeah.
So, like, probably not as much as the dad and his son on the boat, but... But, I don't know, like, him a little bit more. So, like, that's why I was upset about the end.
Yeah, and this right here isn't really a bad thing either. It was kind of surprising was that I expected the majority of this movie to be about the citizens going with the boats and picking up the soldiers. Because, I mean, they were kind of the real heroes of the story, But it barely talks about them. And when they showed up at the beach, I was like, oh, really, already?
Yeah.
And I thought that a lot of it was about them trying to escape as well with the boats attacking them. But there wasn't any U-boats attacking the citizen boats, which
that's
pretty
weird.
true. I was also expecting the U-boat to get blown up at some point, but no, maybe it was that hydrogen-powered U-boat that the British hijacked and blew up on the way to England. And today nobody knows how they built it, but it ran on hydrogen.
Okay.
Cool. So now we're at the section of the stuff that we do like. We do this last because it puts a good taste in your mouth.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start out for once. One thing that I liked, what they did, there are barely any Germans in this dang movie. Like, I mean, to make a war movie, or World War II movie without freaking Nazis in it, that's pretty dang impressive.
Yeah, it was really impressive.
Like,
and it makes a lot of sense because Germany really doesn't like having, big Nazis as the bad guys and stuff in their videos, because it's kind of like a very touchy subject out there, you can imagine.
Yeah, for them at least.
Mm-hmm.
It's a federal offense to display a swastika outside of the educational context.
That's weird. We got expelled when we brought swastikas to school. That's an educational complex.
But yeah, so like the only German soldiers you see are like right at the end when they're capturing Farrier. Pretty much the only other ones you see are like planes, but then you're not seeing the guys.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can sort of see the pilot inside, but it was really well done. I don't even think they used the word Nazi in it. I think they just call them the Germans and stuff. It was really cool how they did that. All the cameras and the angles in this movie are awesome. And apparently they use some kind of film that isn't used in movies anymore. I think they use like 70 millimeter or something.
Yeah.
But like the whole time, what Christopher Nolan does with the camera and stuff is just genius. How it's just like follow them. Like the opening sequence where the guys are running, getting shot at, and you don't see who's shooting at them or anything.
No.
It's just really cool. And then the fact that the whole movie, I'm pretty sure it's the whole movie, there's that ticking sound.
Oh, yeah. Sound.
I think this is the only movie I've seen where it literally plays like music the whole movie. I mean, except for like the very end, which when that scene happens where it shows them asleep and the ticking stops, it's like, oh, finally! Don't have to listen to that ticking sound anymore.
I found the source of the ticking! It's a pipe bomb!
Yeah, that I guess like the sound really helps the sense of urgency and like danger, which it's really neat when you think about it. Like,
yeah, this was a very smart movie. This isn't just a war movie. This is a war movie that had a lot of thought put into it. So, I really enjoyed that. And then the scene where Tom Hardy came out with the plane, that was awesome. Because he's out of that gas.
Yeah.
And like, oh, well, he's done for. But then he showed up. Like, I didn't cheer out loud, but there was like, I was like, yeah! Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then he just glides down the coast.
Yep. So all the scenes in this movie are like really pretty. And now it's time for the final question. So like if you were there at Dunkirk, what would you have done?
What would I have wanted to have been?
Okay, so you're one of the British soldiers waiting on the
Okay.
beach.
Alright.
You don't get to be in the Royal Air Force.
I would definitely be shooting at the planes as they came overhead. It's like,
And this is gonna sound horrible, but the scene where the guy wanders into the ocean and tries to swim off, that would have been me. I was like, you could probably swim there. I mean,
I think
people have done it. I
Yeah.
looked it up, but apparently it's supposed to be even hard for like really good swimmers.
Yeah.
But still, I was like, if I was actually there, that's probably what I would have done. I wouldn't have done it in my clothes. I would have stripped buck nude and just tried to swim there.
This is kind of unrelated to that, but also at the same time, I don't know if any of you have watched Parks and Recreation, but the character Chris Traeger, there's this one random moment, like this is completely off topic, but this kind of reminded me of it for some reason. He's like, oh yeah, I've just read this book, it's called Hope Floats. It's about this lady born without arms and legs that swims across the English Channel. It's like, oh, like, she make it? It's like, no, she drowned it immediately, but it's very inspirational. That's what I was thinking as that guy dives into the water.
Yeah. Oh man, they did a really good job with just how many people there were, and because there's so little talking, especially on the beachfront. I mean, they're all just random people, and they were just all terrified. You could just see how they're all going insane, and they do a little bit of this in the movie, but apparently there was actually like some like serious battles that happened between the British and the French.
Really?
Yeah, there was like at least one. I mean, there was tons of like issues they had.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the French wanted to get out there too, but apparently there was like actually like one battle that actually broke out. But and the whole thing about like stealing the name tags from the dead guys, all legit stuff. Here's one thing I am curious about though, like when they were hiding in the boat and like the bolts started getting shot, he's like, "Wait, it's target practice." Was it target practice? I'm still not sure about what happened in that scene. Like we talked about, there's no Nazis, but like I know that later while this was going out to sea, they're like, "Oh, it's taking fire out there." So like I'm still kind of confused about that scene.
Yeah, and then them getting shot below the water line.
Yeah.
It's like, I know, like, yeah, that's the one, I guess that was sort of a problem I had, but...
When it started leaking, I thought it was like one of the guys was peeing his pants.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't understand the scene where he was taking the pamphlets and he was like sticking them down his pants, wasn't he?
I think he was going to use them as toilet paper.
Oh, that makes
Or
sense.
something, I don't
Probably because he goes to the bathroom afterwards.
Yeah, it's like he was removing his pants to take a dump.
Yeah.
And then he does it later on the beach and he meets the French guy.
Yep. So, it's an awesome movie. It's fun. It's frightening. It's an experience. Like, very few movies are like that. Most movies are like stories, but this one is an actual, like, experience.
Yeah. If you have surround sound when this movie comes out on, like, Blu-ray, DVD, I recommend you use it. Just, like, sound is the major part of
The
this
sound is the
movie.
main thing. The music,
Yeah.
the sound effects. It's That's also the only movie I've seen where London is portrayed as being bright and sunny.
Yeah, you won't see that nowhere else.
Yep. So, Dunkirk, it's awesome. But I am kind of curious though, like, what do you think would have happened if there was a bunch of Americans trapped on the beach? It's gonna be an even fight, boys. Woo! You guys can't see this, but there's like 100 Nazis over there that I'm killing. Of course, we're culturally insensitive. The British were fighting us during the Revolution. That was like the best war that ever happened.